British intelligence learns that Axis troops scheduled to invade Malta have been diverted to the Panzer Army in North Africa. The invasion of Malta will not take place.
Mummy started. Mummy started the pottery in 1950.
No, she kept it in mind after the bombing of Contina's pottery.
Yeah.
She kept it in mind to start pottery again.
That's right. Because a lot of the remains of the Contina pottery had been stored in the cellar, or whatever you call it, of the villa.
He was a director of the Malta Industries.
Was he?
When they formed the company, formed it into a company.
Well, the pottery was started by Contino Castelletti in the 1920s, I think, around the 1920s anyway, and it continued to operate right up to the Second World War. And it was situated over here in Taali, somewhere, we're not quite sure exactly where, but this was an airfield during the Second World War and suffered heavy bombing, and the factory was completely destroyed. But Lady Strickland was a great friend of this chap, Contino Castelletti, who ran the pottery, and she had, I think, financed his venture, so all the pottery was taken from this damaged workshop in Taali down to Villa Bologna.
Originally, it wasn't Ceramika Maltija. When I joined, it was Malta Industries Association, and I think that is important to be said, because the economy of the island depended on the dockyard, and most of the Maltese worked in the repairing of warships.
Depended on the outside world for such things as grain, meat, and gasoline. The Germans commenced starvation tactics.
When it becomes apparent that the Italian Air Force can't establish superiority, the Army says, we're not going to risk a parachute division on a suicide mission, and the Navy says, we can't cover an amphibious landing. So the Germans continue what amounts to an attritional campaign of wearing Malta down by starvation.
Whereas industry was just beginning, and it was Mr. and Mrs. de Trafford who started the industry in Malta, and they called it Malta Industries Association, because it wasn't just the pottery. We had the weaving section.
In the weaving we was about 100, more or less. In the workroom there was another 50, I think. And in the griffin it's more, day and night too. Yeah.
And was it mostly girls or boys? Or?
Mixed. They are mixed, because some of the men, they work in the garden and in the griffin at night. Even in the weaving, we had three men.
And the tea rooms and the garden section, it was an amalgamation of industries, and rightly they were called Malta Industries, because industry in Malta had just begun. So many Maltese would employ themselves in industries rather at the dockyard, not necessarily at the dockyard. The whole economy of Malta was changing. And I was very happy to join this type of industry, because it gives you a chance to express yourself in pottery, and it gives you certain satisfaction, that sense of discovery. You know, from a piece of clay, you create a cup to drink your tea from, or the plate to eat just from a piece of clay. That in itself is very interesting. So that's how I got interested in it, and I loved it, and I still love it to this day.
So we've decided to make a short documentary on the pottery, and everyone points to Charles Byrne as being the important person behind it all, and it would be really interesting to know a bit more about how you met Cecilia and what Malta was like in the 50s, you know, when you moved over to do it, and your...
Sure, well, it was actually quite complicated. I just left the Royal College of Art and I had my first one-man show in London and works in the Royal Academy, etc., which is painting, of course, which is primarily what I do. But ceramics have always been of great interest to me because in Greece and Rome, when all the buildings have disappeared, it's the pottery that's left, you know. So it's an intriguing thing that it's permanent, and so I always loved that aspect of ceramics. There was absolutely no glazed pottery made in Malta at all, and so when Cecilia asked me to go over there to start something up, it was primarily to employ women, because they already had quite a healthy weaving factory going there. I think they had something like 60 or 70 weavers working on hand looms there. And so...
And this is in the early 50s?
This is the 50s, yes, that's right. And so off we went. My wife was a sculptor and she'd already done some work from Royal Worcester, etc. in England here. So off we went, and we spent 6 weeks setting it up from nothing.
Well, Aldo's been with us, he was 23 years old when he joined the pottery, he's now 77 years old. And we were intrigued to find out where the scroll pattern came from that's painted on a lot of our pieces. I'm asking him where it came from. And he's actually saying that this design, he actually thought up, it came out of his own imagination. I'm just going to ask him, he didn't find it out of a book, no book, it was purely from his own imagination.
And the original designs, were they based on Contino Castelletti's?
No, not at all. No. We started completely from scratch. It was actually very difficult to find the Maltese art form because Malta had been occupied through the centuries, and it was, you know, it either got a bit English or a bit Italian or a little bit Arabic, a mixture. The lace certainly was part of Malta in a sense. So the lace patterns, which are still going, I think, in the pottery, were established by Gerald, and he worked in the pottery for a long time.
Actually had pottery here for a long time, haven't you? Because I remember before I took over the pottery, there was already
a small collection, yes. But then I had come personally myself to the pottery, and I saw that there was quite a variety of things which would have been suitable. As the time goes by, you realize what people look for and what they consider to be something they can take back with them, rather than something which is maybe too bulky or too heavy. Things have changed a lot over the years, so now we have to consider, take that into consideration, what we sort of display to make it more encouraging for them to buy a piece of Ceramika without it being a problem of how am I going to take it back home.
So do you find people are more interested now in the maybe, I don't know, better quality, higher end souvenirs rather than the smaller
I think what's very important is that you hit the right balance, that you have quality at the right price, because having quality at a price which is exorbitant unfortunately doesn't help. So the fact that Ceramika Maltija are offering very good quality, and it's handmade and it's locally made and it's got the colours and the character of the island, and also happens to be at a very good price, makes it very attractive to our visitors and our customers. who immediately go and look at it and they examine it. And then I normally, give them a bit of information about Ceramika Maltija and how it's made, and so they sort of get more involved and they realize that it really is something very special on the island.
And how did you get to know Cecilia?
Well, because she was a very popular person, very kind, always helping the ones who are looking for a job, she tries to give them one thing or another, and so many people worked for her. It was my first job with them, and until the end I think it's going to be, I am going to end it with the same family.
Yeah.
For me now, I say I leave my home and come to another, I leave my family and come to another.
I've been working with Ceramika Maltija for about a year now. I've been working in ceramics since 1993, but recently graduated from Glasgow School of Art with a BA Honours in ceramics design. The majority of my work is contemporary functional ware, throneware. What I like about working at Ceramika Maltija is that I'm seeing a different side of ceramics. Most of the production here is earthenware, white, slip cast pieces. And it's not just the piece that you're seeing and has relevance as its aesthetics, it's also the history that goes into it as well.
What sort of wish do you have for the future?
For them, I wish them all the best of luck, and hopefully the new generation will carry on until they have their children growing up, and it won't stop. They carry on with the same thing.
So currently we produce 4 designs. We have fish, fruit, scroll and sgraffito. So to produce a contemporary work, we would take elements from that and make them current day, because we do need that connection with the past. This is still Ceramika Maltija. We can't go too far out of that box. We do have our audience and they want that association with our past.
Well, I think, it's difficult to look too far ahead, but certainly 5 years, 10 years, I don't see the pottery making as many things as it makes now. I see it making less things, but being more focused on the top quality things we produce. And I also see us introducing new designs. So, the pottery is not a museum. It has a lot of great classic designs which were produced in the past, but we also want to be producing things for the future. So, where I'd like it to be anyway in 10 years' time is alive again as a centre of creativity, people working here who are producing contemporary pieces, and also producing our classic, continuing to produce our classic design.